Number 8, moving water is liquid gold. Imagine being so thirsty you consider drinking out of a hoofprint puddle. That's where your ancestors started and where they learned that still water equals nope but moving water. That's the good stuff. Streams, rivers, bubbling springs, these were the champagne fountains of ancient hydration. Not because they tasted like Perrier, but because moving water self-cleans, sort of. It flushes out parasites, bacteria, and other freeloaders, at least more than still water does. That's why don't drink downstream from your bathroom became one of the first unwritten survival rules. Our ancestors didn't have chlorine tablets or Brita filters. They had trial, error, and a cousin named Og who drank the wrong puddle and spent 3 days doing interpretive dance of intestinal agony. They learned quickly that water with movement, fast-flowing, loud, and a little foamy, was the closest thing to safe you'd find in the wild. It's not perfect, but it beat drinking from the same place wildebeests bathed and pooped. Even today, hikers are trained to find moving water and purify it just in case. And if you feel instinctively more at ease drinking from a clear, babbling brook than a murky pond, congrats, your survival software is still working. So yeah, moving water, it's ancient nature's version of a 5-star review. Number 9, bugs mean trouble. You're walking through the forest, minding your own business, when suddenly, buzz, a mosquito lands on your arm. You swat it like it insulted your entire bloodline. But that reaction? That's not just because bugs are annoying. That's your DNA screaming danger. Will Robinson, our ancestors weren't being dramatic when they panicked over tiny insects. In the prehistoric survival handbook, which existed only in the form of people not dying, bugs were walking hypodermic needles of doom. Mosquitoes carried malaria. Fleas delivered the Black Death. Ticks were tiny assassins with Lyme disease agendas. Even today, one bite in the wrong place and suddenly you're Googling weird rash plus jungle fever plus death. So when early humans noticed that certain bugs equals people getting sick and dying horribly, they made some hard rules. Avoid swampy places, don't sleep on the ground. Fire, great for keeping bugs at bay. Smoke may sting your eyes, but hey, at least you're not waking up with 12 new roommates living under your skin. And guess what? That gross feeling you get when a bug crawls on you, that's your survival instincts going DEFCON 1. Because sure, the bug itself might be tiny, but the disease it carries, that's a full-on apocalypse in microscopic form. Basically, if your skin crawls just seeing something with too many legs and not enough boundaries, don't fight it. That's not fear. That's ancient wisdom with wings. Number 10, don't follow the herd mentality. Sounds harmless, like, oh cute, we're all in this together. But let's be real, in nature, the herd doesn't have your best interest in mind. It just has momentum and zero critical thinking. Our ancestors figured out that just because everyone's running in one direction doesn't mean it's the right one. In fact, sometimes it meant they're all panicking because something behind them is already eating Jim. Think about stampedes. One freaked out antelope runs and suddenly the whole group's booking it at 60 mph directly off a cliff. Humans are not that different. There's a reason crowd crushes still happen at concerts and festivals. When panic hits, rational thought gets trampled right along with everyone's legs. Ancient humans had to learn this the hard way. In a village panic, someone had to be the calm one, the wait, are we sure this isn't just thunder and not an angry sky god person? Because being wrong didn't mean embarrassment, it meant extinction. This is why independent thinking, aka don't do the dumb thing just because Dave is doing it, literally saved lives. It wasn't cool to question the mob. It was necessary, so next time everyone's panicking and your gut says pause, listen to it. That's not doubt. That's survival instinct wearing glasses and holding a clipboard. In other words, if the herd jumps, check what's at the bottom first. Number 11, when in doubt, climb. If you're surrounded by predators, ankle deep in doom, and your ancestors didn't invent ladders yet, guess what the universal cheat code was? Climb a tree. Climbing wasn't just a party trick or a way to show off your upper body strength. It was a literal life hack. Lions can't climb well. Wolves can't climb at all. Snakes. Okay, some snakes can climb, but they don't want to. They're lazy murder noodles. So if you were being chased, vertical escape equals smart escape. Trees also gave our ancestors the high ground. And as we all know from every movie ever made, the high ground wins. You could sleep in trees, early hammocks, spot enemies or prey from a distance, and even stash your snacks up there so your cousin didn't steal them. There's a reason your brain still gets a thrill from climbing stuff. Jungle gyms, treehouses, rooftop views, it's not just fun, It's ancient code saying, good job, you're not on the menu today. So if your instincts ever say, get higher, they're not being poetic. They're yelling, above the teeth zone, above the teeth zone. Basically, early humans who could climb survived long enough to become your ancestors. The rest, let's just say they got rooted. Number 12, bitter means back off. Ever bitten into something so bitter it felt like your tongue was filing a formal complaint? That's not just taste, that's a built-in biological warning system. Bitterness in nature often means poison. It's the flavor equivalent of a red flag covered in skulls, and our ancestors learned that lesson before they learned to use a spoon. Alkaloids, the compounds that make stuff bitter, show up in a ton of poisonous plants. Nightshade, hemlock, random angry shrubs with murder sap. One bite and your mouth would go bleh before your stomach had a chance to vote. That reflex wasn't just dramatic, it was preventative medicine before medicine existed. So bitterness got encoded as bad in our brains. Not always accurate. Think coffee, Brussels sprouts, and kale, aka hipster punishment food, but the reflex still lives on. That's why kids hate bitter foods. Their taste buds are basically still on maximum defense mode. It takes years and a lot of Starbucks to convince your mouth that bitter isn't always doom. But in the wild, bitter could mean anything from a light stomachache to oops. All deathberries, so yeah, better safe than poisoned. So the next time your mouth reacts like it just licked a chalkboard soaked in aspirin, thank your ancestors. They didn't die so you could ignore red flags disguised as flavor. Number 13, echoes are not your friends. Imagine you're walking through a rocky canyon or a dense forest and you hear something move. You stop, you listen, you hear it again, but it sounds like it's coming from behind you now. Is it a bear? A ghost? A confused tourist with 2 left feet? Nope, it's your own footsteps echoing like they're auditioning for a horror movie. Your ancestors, they hated echoes, because in the ancient world, sound bouncing in weird ways wasn't just disorienting, it was dangerous. If you couldn't tell where a sound was coming from, you couldn't tell if it was friend, foe, or something that wanted to wear your femur as a hat. Echoes mess with spatial awareness, especially in places with hard surfaces or dense trees. Predators used this to their advantage. Sound confusion meant hesitation. Hesitation meant dinner for them, not you. Early humans quickly learned, if a place messes with your ability to track movement by sound, don't hang out there. Echo-rich environments made you vulnerable. You couldn't tell how many footsteps there were or if one wasn't yours. That's why we still get creeped out by caves, alleys, or big empty buildings where sounds bounce weirdly. Your brain is trying to decode acoustic nonsense while your gut yells. This is how documentaries start. Basically, if your own footsteps start sounding like a group project, leave. Number 14, don't touch the frogs. Look, frogs are adorable. Some of them even look like they'd be great in a Disney sidekick role. But your ancestors, they weren't petting frogs, they were running from them. Here's the thing. A lot of frogs, especially the ones that look like neon highlighters had a baby with a rubber toy, are toxic. Some are just mildly irritating. Others can drop a 200-pound predator in seconds. Touch one and suddenly your nervous system is filing for bankruptcy. The infamous poison dart frogs from South America, indigenous people didn't give them that name as a joke. They literally used their skin toxins to coat weapons. Your great-great-something grandparents weren't licking those frogs for fun, unless they wanted the worst acid trip of all time followed by their own funeral. And the worst part, the dangerous frogs look cute. They're nature's version of a scam, bright colors, tiny limbs, and death in their pores, like if Lisa Frank went goth. Even today, some people still need to be told, don't touch wild animals. Especially the ones that seem unusually chill about being touched. That frog might not be shy because it's friendly. It might be shy because it knows it can end you without breaking a sweat. In short, if it's shiny, colorful, and squishy, pretend it's radioactive. Your ancestors would. Number 15, if it moves at night and glows, it's probably lying. Let's end this countdown with something truly freaky. Bioluminescence. Glowing mushrooms, glowing insects, glowing fish, glowing everything in some corners of the earth. You might think it's magical, fireflies, fairy lights, nature is so whimsical. No, nature is strategic. And your ancestors knew if something is glowing in the dark and it's not fire, it's probably trying to deceive you. Bioluminescence isn't for funsies, it's a weaponized light show. Some creatures glow to lure prey, others glow to warn predators they taste like Satan's mouthwash, some glow to attract mates. Which, frankly, might be the most relatable use of bioluminescence. But for early humans, glowing stuff in the wild meant confusion and potential danger. A glowing fungus might mean rot. A glowing bug might be toxic. A glowing fish probably has extra teeth and an invitation to your nightmares, and it's not like they had LED flashlights to investigate. If you saw something glowing, your best move was to back away slowly and assume it was either magic or death and treat both with equal suspicion. Basically, your ancestors knew that if it looked like a Disney visual effect but came with zero plot armor, it was best left alone. So yeah, if it glows and it isn't a fire you made, don't trust it, don't touch it. Don't name it Gerald and try to keep it. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.